Welcome to day 2 of Good Day Bio Live, coming to you from the 2022 Bio International Convention in San Diego, California. I'm Tetiana Anderson. A flood of attendees from around the world are focusing on how biotech can help solve pressing global health issues, protect our climate, and nourish humanity. It happens by spurring innovation and creating health equity for better patient outcomes around the world. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are a large part of that, and a report just out from Bio and Cokewill is showing some industry progress. The number of women employees in biotech sector companies is going up, and so are the number of employees of color, but both groups are still lagging at the executive and CEO levels. That news impacts everyone. Eric Dubé, CEO of Travere Therapeutics, tells us that diversity inside biotech boardrooms, C-suites, and laboratories directly relates to diverse treatments for patients outside in the real world.
So diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just about what happens in a company. I believe that the mission of this industry is a powerful one. And I believe that by having a diverse organization, and by having a stated intent around DEI, it gives us the opportunity and the obligation to think about who are the communities that we're looking to serve, making sure that there's access not just to clinical trials, but ultimately access to our medicines. They're affordable and they are designed with their needs in mind. When you start to disaggregate and look at individual communities separately and understanding their journey and their social determinants of health, you're going to have better insights, and I believe ultimately we're going to be more successful at bringing our innovation to more patients that need it.
Equity and patient outcomes are both topics Pierre Theodore knows a lot about. He is the Vice President of Global Public Health at Johnson & Johnson. Earlier, I asked him what's being done about the lack of medicine and access to state-of-the-art care in many countries around the world.
Tatiana, such an important question, and there are so many factors that go into health and equity at present. Everything from supply chain limitations to historical legacies of disadvantage that make it very difficult in certain circumstances to get drugs and devices to patients who need them the most. And pharmaceutical companies have a very important role to play in overcoming those barriers. Everything from how we think about R&D, to the manufacturing, to how we market and commercialize products.
So in Africa, for example, there's a real lack of clinical trials being done there. Can you tell us a little bit about what is happening to change that, not only on that continent, but in other countries around the world?
Well, driving improved access to clinical trials doesn't happen spontaneously. So for our business, it really does require a focused, specific effort in making sure that we try to develop clinical trials in lower resource settings. For example, you mentioned sub-Saharan Africa. So when we think about disease states like tuberculosis or HIV, making sure that we are creating partnerships that allow us to launch clinical trials in which there is a broad level of diversity across all of our efforts.
So a huge conversation at this conference is happening around the issues of diversity, equity, inclusion. In the seat where you are an example of that. How important is that to you, and what does that mean to the people who are watching you?
Well, you know, on the one hand, there's the adage that in order to be it, you have to see it. But I also think that there's an overlap between what we're trying to achieve in terms of diversity in the ranks of those that are engaged in biopharmaceuticals, but also the equity that we're trying to drive in the populations that we serve. So I actually think of them as, in a sense, two interrelated issues as we drive diversity in the industry, allowing us to be a more equitable healthcare sector.
While women make up about half of the world, funding for women's medical research doesn't attract enough investment. Kevin Ali, CEO of Organon, tells us that's a missed opportunity.
Well, right now is a time of investment in women's health because for decades it's gone woefully underrepresented and underfunded in terms of research and development in the space. But we start to see some green shoots start to emerge, and the reason that Organon as a company is in place, and we've essentially just celebrated our 1-year anniversary as a spin out from Merck, we're a $6.5 billion business across the world, is the fact that there's a time now to invest in women's health. There's new innovations in small and medium-sized companies out there. That's why we're here at Bio to make contact, as a call to action in order for other biotech companies to get in the space of developing innovations for women's health, because now is the time to invest, and we've actually done 5 deals over the last 12 months. So it's been a pretty rich and fruitful time for us as a company.
Drug costs are top of mind for many patients and their providers. So if you're looking for a good read, check out Jim Garrity's book, The Orphan Drug Revolution. We talked to him about why investing in orphan drugs and rare disease are important for everyone's health.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize the devastating cost that these orphan genetic diseases have. Many patients, usually diagnosed as children, are wheelchair bound as they get older. Many of them require 24-hour care. Many of them are chronically hospitalized, emergency room visits, long, in-depth hospitalizations, multiple surgeries. And the cost of all that care and the burden it takes on caregivers, parents being out of work and so on, is often far greater than the cost of the drug. When patients, taxpayers, and insurance company policyholders are asked what they value are indeed coverage for these devastating diseases. That's the most important thing they want from their health insurance and their health insurance system. Today, biotech innovation is under threat from many sources. If you follow the headlines, there are many people agitating for price controls and price reductions on Capitol Hill and other places. And what people don't realize is for patients, what matters is not what a drug company charges, but what their insurance policies say. And what patients pay are their co-pays and deductibles. And if these price reductions or price controls are put in place, the innovation is going to be stifled because investors who put in this high-risk capital will not continue to invest if they don't see the prospect of an adequate return if a drug is successful.
From biotech breakthroughs to driving health equity to diversifying companies and clinical trials, communication is key. That's what Rich Masters of Bio says. I spoke to him earlier about the mission of Bio.News to tell the real story about what's going on in the biotech industry. You talked about policymakers on both sides of the aisle beating up on each other, but what was going on in the news industry itself when it came to how they were portraying the industry that really led you to say, hey, we need to do something?
So one of the reasons political leaders from both political parties can attack the industry repeatedly is because the news media has become so biased against the industry. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, if you look at what happened with vaccines, where there was a hesitancy to take vaccines, just that misinformation vacuum out there. And so Bio.News and Good Day Bio and all of the content, the podcast, everything we're doing is to make sure that at least the real information is going to battle with the misinformation. Again, that's why we say we're the voice of science for science. We're battling misinformation this way.
Thank you, Rich.
Sure, thanks.
Day one wasn't all focused on education, though. Before we go, here's a quick look at how attendees reconnected with colleagues and friends at the morning's 5K race and welcome reception.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So far, I've met a lot of people, a lot of interesting people. I've learned a lot. I'm going to be on my first panel ever, which is going to be very exciting tomorrow morning.
I appreciate being back in person. I appreciate being able to, engage with a lot of people that I haven't seen in years, a lot of people that I've been talking to for years virtually and meeting them for the first time.
Getting all this cutting-edge technology and the future of drug discovery, it's fascinating. This is why I'm here. I've already decided I'm going to Boston next year because this is it's amazing.
And if you're looking for a little bit of fun on the convention hall floor, make sure to come over to the Slope booth. You can get into this racing simulator and pretend you're a real Formula One driver. This is so fun. And the top 5 racers of the week can win a chance to drive a real car on a real racetrack. So you don't want to miss out on this one. Oh wait, hold on, I crashed. I don't have a car, everybody, okay? There's a lot happening on day 2. The Bio Unbound series explores gender equality and aging. Also on the schedule, former White House press secretary Dee Dee Myers. She'll talk about building a strong biomanufacturing workforce in the U.S. And we'll hear from an astronaut live from the International Space Station about microgravity and R&D. And closing out the day, a town hall with FDA officials and Bio's latest data on the emerging therapeutics pipeline.
Hello everyone, I'm Joe Panetta. I'm President and CEO of Biocom California, headquartered here in San Diego. I'd like to welcome everyone here to San Diego for the Bio 2022 convention, to the most innovative and collaborative life science community in the world.
Hi, my name is Mike Guerra, and I'm honored to be the President and CEO of California Life Sciences. We welcome Bio International Convention 2022 to sunny California. As the birthplace of biotechnology, we are honored to have this convention back here in California again.
Remember, you can get all the day's convention highlights in Good Day Bio on Bio.News and right here with me on the next episode of Good Day Bio Live. It airs at 7 a.m. Pacific. And if you're not getting Good Day Bio in your inbox, visit bio.org or bio.news for all the top stories. And if you're posting on social media, don't forget to use the hashtag Bio2022. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.